Welcome to the Mind Body Business Show. The 3 keys to your success is just moments away. Here's your host, Brian Kelly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind Body Business Show. I am over the top excited for tonight's show. We have the most special guest on the planet, my dear friend Kent Emmons. We met years ago because we were both speaking on stage at an event, and we were hanging out in the back and just, hit it off. And then many years later, we kind of ran into each other at another event, and we both pointed and said, "Hey, I know you," and we started talking again, and it's been awesome. So we'll get into that in a little bit. The Mind Body Business Show. What is that all about? Real briefly, what I began doing was focusing on those people that had success. Success that I looked to achieve. I was looking at those to model. And what I found over the course of years of studying successful people, talking with them, hanging out with them, reading about them, is that they all seem to have 3 similar patterns in common that was just across the board. And the first was mind. That stands for mindset. They all have a rock solid, powerful, very positive mindset from sunup to sundown. And you're going to love our special guest, Kent Emmons. This is one of the most positive people I've ever met. I've never seen him, not yet, not once, without at least once smiling, but it's usually most of the time. It's like you can't take it off of him. It's awesome. And body, it's about taking care of your body. Most successful people do. You'll see Kent, he's very, very fit. It's about, exercising. It doesn't mean you have to be a bodybuilder or a supermodel. It just means you have to move, and also to take care of yourself on the inside. Nutrition, to feed yourself those things that will propel you forward. And then business. Business is multifaceted. There's things like sales, marketing, team building, systematizing, leadership skills. When you put all these together, and if you've mastered all 3 of these, then you are what I deem one of those that are successful, because they all have these 3 traits. And that's what I call operating at a peak level of performance, hence the name, Reach Your Peak, of my company. And Kent is no stranger to any of this. He follows all 3 of these to a T. Very successful gentleman in the radio network and television network space, amongst many other things. I can't wait for you to meet him and learn about him, because I'm gonna peel apart his brain so he can see what's going on in there, not literally, figuratively. And then we might do something a little different that I've never done on this show ever before. We might have a beverage, and it's an adult beverage. This has a little bit of something in it that I'll let Kent kind of bring that one up. That'll be fun. So, Mind Body Business Show, it's all about success. And on that note, one of the things I found that successful people do in addition is many of them read voraciously. And with that, I'd like to segue into a little segment I call appropriately bookmarks.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
Yes, there you see it on the side, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. And by the way, for those of you watching live, even if you're watching the recording or listening on podcast, do yourself a favor and stay here on the show. In other words, you're going to be getting some resources in the form of websites, etc. during the show. And it's best for you to just write them down, get a piece of paper and a pen and do old school and take some notes. And the reason is the magic, it happens in the room. So if you stay with us and you're concentrating on the show, because you do not want to miss a single word that Kent has to offer tonight. The man just oozes value. I've got to spend a few hours, more than a few hours, at his home twice recently. And the guy is amazing. You're going to love him. So stick with us. So reachyourpeaklibrary.com, briefly, what is that? That is a website I put together literally with you in mind. You, the entrepreneur, the business person, the person looking to either get ahead or advance farther than where you are right now. If you haven't started reading, I recommend highly you get started. And here's a good place to start, because here's a collection of books that I personally read. I vet these personally. They have had an impact in me positively, either in business or in my personal life, sometimes in both. And so if you're not sure where to start reading, this would be a great place to start. It's a one-stop shop, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. And that is it. It's, the number one reason for lack of success, as you can see on the screen, is not simply a lack of reading books, but it's the lack of reading the right books. So if you're not doing that on a regular basis, I recommend you start doing that right away. I started listening on Audible because I didn't know it, but I didn't like reading the physical book. I mean, I kind of knew it, but I didn't know there was another way that was better for me. I would literally start nodding off, and my eyes would get irritated and tired. But with Audible, I just listen. I can close my eyes if I need to, but I usually don't because I'm usually driving when I listen. On that note, about driving and about success, we've got a major driven individual here and a major successful individual that I would like to introduce to you right about now. So let's bring him on, shall we?
It's time for the Guest Expert Spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there he is, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Kent Emmons. How are you doing, buddy?
Oh my God, that introduction is going to be a lot to live up to. That's a
easy for you, easy for you. Oh, Mr. Scott Schelling says, parapowerful. What was that?
Very circusy, here he is, coming in, 3 rings.
Yes, pump up the energy, baby. Because that's what you bring. You bring a ton of energy all the time. Before I formally bring you on, I want to remind our viewers, though, that remember, every show we do this, you can qualify, you can win a 5-night stay, there it is, a 5-night vacation stay at a 5-star luxury resort in Mexico, compliments of my good friends at powertexting.com. So be sure to stay on to the very end of the show because I'll give out the details of how you can enter to win. We give out 1 trip every single show. No kidding. Here we go.
I'm signing up for that one.
Yeah.
Right now. I'm ready for a vacation.
There you go. All right. Owning radio stations and networks over the years, Kent Emmons discovered early on that there were big bucks to be made by running spots for products that sold directly to customers. By having a good eye to spot products that would sell well, he started dedicating a substantial portion of his media outlets' ad inventory to direct response that easily carried over to television. Emmons founded Kent Direct Inc., an international direct response television and digital firm that, along with its affiliates, has generated billions in sales over the years. That's with a B, ladies and gentlemen. B, billions. I can't even comprehend how many zeros are in that. In 2018, Kent, along with some like-minded friends all across the business spectrum, saw a massive hole in the media market. News on both sides of the fence was not only broken, which I firmly believe it is as well, but the big networks were totally ignoring the 18 to 34-year-old crowd, which is also the most profitable media demographic. I love this guy's entrepreneurial mind. It's amazing. Recognizing a very clearly wide open and very profitable hole in the media space, Kent and his posse formed something called Crave News, which is a very edgy, hip, live interactive digital news network. And it is set to launch from its downtown Los Angeles studios this coming 2019, around mid-2019 or so. At least that's what he says. We'll see if that's still true. I hope so. I can't wait. Finally, Brian's going to stop talking and say, welcome to the show, Mr. Kent Emmons. How are you doing again, my friend?
Brian, I'm great. It's good to be here. And could you do my funeral too? That was awesome. You could do my wake. It's all done.
Well, man, I don't even want to go down that road. I don't want to think about anyone's funeral, but I appreciate that. I'm humbled. Thank you so much. So, Kent, man, you're always so upbeat, positive, big smile on your face. I mean, you're not just, this is you. It's really you. You're not making up somebody else that you're not. I've seen you in different areas. I've seen you in the hallways during networking events where it's not even a break time and you're out there smiling, talking to somebody. And so I can tell that you're a very motivated and driven guy. And I was just curious, and I love to ask this of every one of my guests when they come on the show, because it really gives those that are watching and viewing a little bit deeper of a view of what makes you tick, so to speak. And so like when you're getting up in the morning, and I know you told me your routine was pretty cool. You get up and you go out in the front of your ranch home there and have some fun and do the first half of your day working outside in a beautiful setting. But right before you do that, and you're starting to wake up, you're starting to come to conscious, and then it starts to hit. The day ahead is coming, and then that motivation and drive hits you. For you, what is it that does that to you? What motivates you to hit the day after day after day, with all of this energy that you have?
Well, there's a lot of things that motivate me, but I think everybody kind of wakes up the same. I think everyone wakes up, and the first thing that hits their mind, just because it's the way God built us, I think, is, oh my God, I've got to do this today. I've got to do that today. I've got to do this. And if you're having a little bit of a rough patch on something, then you get a little. And so my mind immediately, over the years, I've just trained it to go to, what am I thankful for? What are my blessings? Remember the old song in church, count your blessings, count them one by one? And you think about how many people this morning didn't wake up. They didn't get out of bed. And I started thinking about, wow, these amazing, that helps, that energizes you and keeps you up for the day. And then as far as what really motivates me is I love building things. I love, taking broken things and turning them around as far as business go and things like that. And I love hanging out with my daughter and doing that kind of stuff. So those are the things that motivate me. But, the upbeat thing I think really comes from just, being blessed and just recognizing. A lot of people don't. You take a look at how many cases of depression are in our country and stuff like that. But if people really started looking at their blessings and didn't worry about what everybody else was posting on Facebook and this and that, it'd be a whole game changer.
Yeah, and stop watching this thing they call news on television, because, my wife and I we'll see it come on and we change the channel as fast as we can, because we know it's just going to be an onslaught of negativity, of skewed, opinionated reporting, no matter what the topic, it seems. It's just to improve their ratings. I think we were talking about this while we were at your house a while ago, and you said this, that it looks like it's primarily money-based, and I believe that. I mean, I think that money has a lot to do with what is being reported. We don't want to go down that big rabbit hole yet that I just started us down, but...
No, I'll give you like the 2 second on that one,
sure.
Though. I mean, literally everything is driven by ratings, and, on the right, you've got Fox, and they, drive their base. On the left, you got MSNBC and CNN, and they drive their base, and it's really about how fired up they can get them and get them to stay tuned in for the next segment and that kind of stuff. And it's they pander to their audience. That's what they do. That's why like you mentioned, we're launching a new news network. It's a much younger geared news network, live, and we're doing that. It's going to be right down the middle. It's going to be a lot of fun, and but it's going to bring the 18 to 34-year-old who are just kind of being force-fed news now into being able to call in, talk, text, Skype in, and participate in the news. And it'll be fun.
I love how you both brought in that genre of age physically into the fray and integrated it with the technology that's being used today, which seems to be something that it's slowly gaining steam, but with you doing these networks online, it's going to be a game changer. I can just see it. I can't wait. I can't wait for it to come out. I'm antsy to say something about it, but I won't, I promise. I know it's coming soon.
We'll make the announcement here pretty soon.
Fantastic. I'll help you get the word out on that, buddy, because
I appreciate it, man.
It's a game changer, and I'm really excited for it. Fantastic. Now, I talked about in the beginning a little bit about the importance of reading, reading books. Has that been something that's been part of your life? Has it really, and if so, has it impacted you in a positive way toward your business and your personal life as well?
Absolutely. I've always got a stack of books. I mean, you've been out here to the ranch. I've got, I'm always in the middle of 2 or 3 books. I'm constantly reading. I also download books like you do. You mentioned you like the audiobooks. I love that. I'll be taking off next week, be on a long flight, and I've got 3 or 4 downloaded already and excited to jump on and take a listen.
Yeah, I love that. I love traveling for those moments because now I'm by myself and I can just really get into it and listen. And that could be in the car as well as in the plane. But I do a lot of book listening on the plane and definitely in the car. I'll mix it up. Primarily it's books and then a little bit of dash of music now and then just to relax a little bit. But
you got to jam out to that music. That music, gets you, sets the tone. It kind of sets the mood. And I've got that playlist from everything from back in the day, like 38 Special and REO Speedwagon, all the way through stuff current today, all the way to old country stuff, new country stuff, you name it. There's so much great music out there, and depending on your mood, with iTunes or whatever you use, Spotify or whatever, you can build your own playlist and just be rocking out, get the mood, and then kick the day off.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times. So I use Pandora, and I'll fire it up in the park or in the driveway as I'm backing out, or in the garage. And when I'm backing out, I hit the pavement of the main street to get out of my house, and I'm already done with the music. I said, that's enough of that. I want to listen to a book. It happens more often than not.
Yep.
It's so funny. It's just that little bit of juice gets me going.
So much great stuff out there. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I can tell by looking at you, brother, you're a pretty fit dude. We're about the same age. In fact,
by the way, I was going to ask you, what's the last book you read? Because I know you read a lot too.
Oh, bro, I read so many I have to look it up, but it's The Biology of Belief. I don't have to look it up. The Biology of Belief, it's a game changer.
Great.
Pardon?
I heard that was great.
It is amazing, and I learn about a lot of books from guest speakers like you that come on to the show, and that was one of them. And it's a dynamo. It talks about DNA, our genes, and it actually tells us what they've learned beyond what we've always thought. And it's not a controversial thing. It's all science-based. It's phenomenal. I would recommend it to everybody because it'll shift the way you think about yourself and how you think every single day and what impact your thoughts have on you. Deepak Chopra was big on this, right? The mind and body, they are not separate. They're actually intertwined very finely, and every cell in your body is part of your mind. It's amazing. It's amazing. So anyway, it's an amazing book. Doctor something or other. I can look it up if you want it. But
yeah, text it to me later.
The Biology of Belief is the title. It's probably the only one out there. It's amazing. Thank you for asking, because I just finished it. I started reading another one that the tone was much different in the second one, and I'm already starting to lose the feeling from The Biology of Belief. So right when I'm done with this one, I'm going to go back and re-listen to The Biology of Belief, so it's ingrained deep in my mind because it is that important. It's a great book. Great.
I'm going to get it.
So you're a very fit dude. I mean, you're wearing a polo shirt there. So I imagine you've been atop a horse or two. You might have a horse or two near you, maybe, just because you're on a ranch or something. I remember driving up the way there. And, yeah, there was.
They're big. You know what? They're big poop manufacturing machines. That's what they are. But my daughter loves them, so hey. But well, they make a lot of stuff.
Big production plant out at the Emmons Ranch. There we go. So you're a very active person. I notice you're moving all the time, whether it's in your house or we sat together for several hours and it's like, hey, let's go get something to eat, and it was like, bam, let's go. And I was like, all right, I like.
I took you for a power lunch too, didn't I? I took you to one of the Hollywood power lunch places, In and Out.
Yep, that was great too. What was that?
The last of the big times Hollywood spenders, right here, In and Out for only the finest for my buddy Brian.
Well, that's the cool thing, everything is like 100% like, or it's not. I don't know if it's organic, but it's fresh, right? It's all fresh. In and Out is a cut above all the rest.
It's amazing.
It's very tasty, by the way. It's really good. So, what level of importance do you put on staying healthy? Staying fit in your life. Do you do something on a regular basis? Do you just do it when the time permits? How do you stay fit? Because you're about the same age as me. You're about a year younger. So neither of us are young pups. I can say that because I'm older than you. But how do you stay fit at that age? And a lot of people would like to know that. I know many men and a lot of women as well would like to know, how do you stay fit going into the latter years of life?
Hopefully this is not the latter year. It's kind of interesting. As you know, I get my health care done. I'm never sick, but I get my health care done at the top. It is the top international hospital in the world. It's in Bangkok, of all places. And for a year, I've gone there for my physical for 11 or 12 years, do it every year. And they do an age indexing on you where they can kind of index, what your body, okay, you're 54, but your body is, the index is, mine in particular one's 35, 36. So my body's at 35, 36, but I'm, actually 54 years old. And then they can also kind of figure out, provided you don't get hit by a bus or some crazy cancer, about how long you live.
Wow.
And it was 52, and I got my, I had my physical every year, but 52, and it said that, 104 has always been my age indexing. Every year it comes back at 104. So I kind of hit that halfway mark a couple of years ago, I think. And so I don't know that 54 is the later part of life. I mean, I think take a look at 54, it's very young. And I take a look at my dad, who's 80, My dad still walks 3 miles a day. Sometimes he'll walk 3 miles, then 2 miles with my mom later. He's in better shape than I am, and very active. But a lot of the physical activity for me is hiking. Up in the mountains up here behind the ranch and stuff. A lot of hiking and a lot of walking. Like to mountain bike a little bit and that kind of stuff. Of course, I love water sports and that kind of thing. But then a lot of your physique, I think, really has to do with your mental state. In other words, I think if you think younger and you're motivated to go out and exercise and do that kind of stuff, your mind kind of drives your body to stay in shape, or it drives you to want to stay in shape.
I love that because we were talking about that, how the mind and body. I like to say the mind and body are a team, but more importantly, they're your team. And if one member of your team is not operating at a peak level of performance, then your team as a whole is suffering. And so it takes both the mind. And they do follow each other. You're very right. I mean, if you don't think in a manner that's commensurate with going out and moving, then your mind's going to win. You're not going to go out and move. It's like, I could just sit here and eat another Snickers instead. That'd be easier.
Think about this, Brian. Think about how many people that are way younger than us, but man, their physique looks older because their mind is older. They already kind of picture that they've got that 1 foot in the grave or whatever it is. And you see these people that don't age well, and a lot of it all starts right here, I think. It really does start in your mind. I look at my mom and dad, and those two are like kids. And dad's 80 and mom's 75. And they're like kids, but they think that way. They're always active. They're always out doing something, helping people, very active in the community and stuff like that. And I look at them, people can't believe he's my dad. They go, and he actually tries to pass me off as his older brother. And some people believe it.
Oh, man. I see where you get the sense of humor from. That's awesome.
That's actually true. I actually believe it.
I have a very comical dad, too. So we got a lot in common, my brother. Yeah, so I totally agree with that. There have been so many countless accounts of people literally healing themselves through thought, Yep. People that are stage 4 cancer and they survive without chemo based on changing their mindset. Big believer, and the biology of belief is one that pushes me even farther over to that side of the thinking about the power of the mind. Even though I already was a believer, it just solidified it with scientific backing because they're able to test at a deeper level. And I don't think we're done. I don't think science is done. It's always improving. We have nanotechnologies and things that go down deep and small and tiny. It's going to keep going. They always think that we've hit the end, but I don't believe that. I think...
Oh, no. Some of the things that are on tap right now, I actually got a friend of mine who's in India right now, and he's actually one of the shareholders in my network. Big business guy, and he's a big thinker, big picture thinker. And he's actually meeting with medical experts over there that do brain mapping, but they're taking it to a whole nother level, and they're doing all that. The stuff that's out there that we don't even know about is, it's mind warping. And, being out here in California, I know the medical community out here pretty well. There's a big research community and stuff. And some of the things I hear are just, you sit there and go, man, I had no clue. I mean, it's stuff that's beyond science fiction.
Yeah. And I can't wait to hear what they find when they come back and he talks to you. I'm so deeply interested in the mind, especially since about 8 years ago. And that's when I first came into knowledge of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP for short. And I used to think I would sit in the audience and do one of these and go, get back from me, Satan, get this woo-woo stuff away from me. And I found out very quickly it is nothing close to that. It's not woo, It's science. It works. And I believe in it so much that I became an NLP practitioner, certified, and it changed my life. I don't, so many people if you go to Wikipedia.
I remember your beginning days of NLP. You had a cane that had a snake on it when the eyes went like this. Oh, wait, no, that was Jungle Book. Never mind. That's a whole
that's right. And those eyes that we're doing. Yeah, that's right.
Look into the
That's what a lot of people think of it as, that with hypnosis and other things. It's just like me, it's because you don't know what you don't know until you dive in and you get the details of it. You only surmise what you can based on what you've heard from others who also don't know. And that's
exactly right.
Yeah, that's what typically happens. And so it's an amazing thing. The mind is, I think it is the foundation, the cornerstone of everything we have today, whether it's success or not success. It's what's going on up here is the outward results that you have out here. Thorough believer of that, because once my mind started changing, so did my results. And then I, like I said in the onset, when I follow people like you, I see that this pattern of success is so inherent. Especially with someone like you, Kent, because you have that incredible, powerful, positive mindset at all times. I just love observing you when, like, I was in your place. I just kind of checking you out, watching. Don't worry, I'm married. It's all good. But us watching you. But yeah, man, you're an amazing guy, and you're cut from a special cloth, and I'm so blessed that people get to meet you.
Everybody has it. Everybody has it in them. It's just really recognizing how blessed you are. I mean, just think about if you. I know a lot of people get depressed, but if you just think about all the great things in your life, and you also look at what's going on with other people, and how many people would give anything to be in your shoes. And really, if you count your blessings first, everything else falls into place.
Yeah, so it's like the attitude of gratitude, right? It's like be thankful.
Attitude of gratitude.
Start out each and every day being thankful, and if you forgot in the beginning, then go back and be thankful whenever it comes to your mind. Learn things like it doesn't matter. I'm thankful that I have eyesight and I can see Kent.
Yeah,
and I'm thankful that I have a car that I was able to drive to Kent's ranch, and I'm thankful that I'm just thankful that Kent's here. I don't know. Everything's thankful about Kent. That's pretty good. I'm having fun. Speaking of fun, do you think it's about getting time for Whiskey 030? Are we getting close?
Yeah, you know what? I'll jump over there in a little bit. I'll mix one up.
Cool. So we were just having fun before we started on the show, and I've been over to this place. You see his nice array behind him there of adult beverages, and came over and we did some cool show called Whiskey Politics, and it was obviously themed around whiskey, and so that was kind of cool. So we decided let's pour one. And one of the reasons is, the cool thing is, you get to do this as an entrepreneur. If you're a corporate employee, how many of you can drink while, quote unquote, working? I don't call this work, but
I'm not a monster drinker, but I am a big fan of Jack Daniels and Tab. Of all, I come from Southern Illinois, so I am a redneck through and through, still am, and so Tab and Jack is my thing.
Nice.
So I gotta love it. And yeah, you know what? You're probably best not doing this if you're sitting there working for somebody else. Don't do it till you get home.
That's true. Yeah. The point is the freedom that entrepreneurship grants each and every one of us. Think about, if this was actually on television, like traditional television, they wouldn't allow it at all. No alcohol, right? And here we are.
We've done it. I remember we were doing Whiskey Politics. That's hosted and produced by my friend Dave Sussman. You met Dave.
Yes.
You sat in as a guest. We hosted him out here at the ranch during the presidential debates. And no, we were doing a network show out of Washington, D.C. during CPAC. And it happened to be Dave's 50th birthday. And he brought a great bottle of whiskey. I said, come on. I said, let's just do it on air. Said, all right, let's do it. Look, the guy from Whiskey Politics is here. Let's do the CPAC wrap-up show with us. We got to do whiskey.
It was awesome, and it was so much fun. Thanks so much for inviting me out to be a witness of that and be involved in that. That was a lot of fun. That was a hoot. And speaking of...
That wasn't network. It was like more streaming, but it was sure fun. And that was, thank Dave and some of those crazy guys for putting it together. Dave awesome. And Jamie and some of those cats.
Cool. Well, speaking of redneck, this is my...
Jeremy. Oh, should I get a little whiskey?
This is my redneck wine glass, just for people watching. So it's a mason jar on top of a wine stem. We're wine drinkers. Jar. All right.
Seriously.
What's that?
All right, hang on. I have a mason. Can I take a break for 1 second?
Absolutely.
I'll be back. I'm gonna watch this. I got a mason jar.
So Kent's taking a break. He's stepping away. He'll be right back. He can probably still hear us. And it's an amazing thing. He's an amazing guy. Just like I said, so positive, outgoing. Thanks, Scott Schilling.
Actually, keep them in my fridge. Keep the mason jar in my fridge. I'm gonna do a little Jack and Tap.
There we go. So full disclosure, I got the I got the mason jar idea straight from Kent from before the show. I thought, I think I got something like that. It actually says mason on the jar too. It's funny.
By the way, I picked up. This is Jack here, but I was had an interesting thing a couple of weeks ago. My daughter and I were invited over to Graceland. The Elvis house.
Wow.
In Memphis. A buddy of mine, Morris Nutt. He's a banker down there in Memphis. Real character, and he's one of the owners of a company. He's a partner of Pat Benatar and her husband Spider.
Wow. In
a company called Three Chord. They're doing it's a new kind of bourbon. Hang on a second, I'll show you. They so yeah, I've not. We did a lot of it over at Grace. We had a lot of fun in Graceland. They gave us kind of the run of the place, and then Pat put on a concert. You remember Pat Benatar from the '80s?
Heck yeah.
And of course, yes, freaking amazing. But on top of that, the whole night was around a private tasting of this Three Chord, and it was just unreal.
I can imagine. I love Pat Benatar. Going through high school, I wore out records. Remember those vinyl things that they used to have, and cassette tapes. Wore them out because I just loved every one of her albums that came out. Saw her at US Festival years ago.
Talk about a positive, amazing, just unbelievable personality. I mean, she is great. And what is she, 65, 66? She's on stage. She's like a kid. She's running, jumping, singing. And Spider, her husband, is her lead guitarist. And, they've been together for 100 years. And she's like a kid. She's got to be, 65, 66? I don't know, something like that. And she's a lot of fun, too, just to hang. She's just a really, really, really fun gal.
I think that is absolutely so awesome. Number one, that a lead guitarist and a lead singer are married. Number two, that the lead singer is a female and they still get along because it's usually the other way around, right? And number three, they're still together. That is a testimony to them. Amazing, amazing. That's so cool. That just means they enjoy each other. They did it right. So kudos to them. And man, I'd love to meet her. She's amazing. Cool. So, all right, back to, you know what, buddy? Cheers.
Salute.
Tink. Gotta have a little of that.
Tab and Jack in a mason jar.
So let's see. I think it's whiskey, ginger beer, and lime. I'm not much of a whiskey drinker. I actually looked up a recipe right before coming on the air, and I said, "Hey, we got ginger beer from about a month ago." Well, someone else in my family had that. I said, "Okay." So it's actually kind of good. We'll have to go through this real quick. All of it before the show's over. Get a little loopy.
Sure.
So
somebody will pick you up from the floor and set you back up in your chair. No problem.
Yeah, exactly. So, being an entrepreneur, I'm sure you can attest to the fact that it's super simple all the time, and it just comes naturally, and it's a piece of cake every day.
No, being an entrepreneur is tough. I mean, this. I mean, it's a great life. I mean, to me, that's all I've known. I've always been an entrepreneur. I started off, my mom taught me how to do a lemonade stand when I was a little kid. And then, I did it on the golf course. And then, when I was old enough to start mowing yards, I started mowing yards and doing that. That's all I've ever known. I've never had a job. We sold a company to a great, big, huge, entertainment company, and I had an opportunity to go run one of their divisions, or actually be second in command in one of their divisions. And I sat there and waited out, and I was like, you know what? I don't know that I could do that. It just didn't, I didn't ring home with me. But it's kind of like walking a tight wire in a hurricane. It's like you're doing that, and there's that challenge, and you have to stay so focused on the very end because all these crazy distractions and stuff like that. But when you make it to the end, like when you finally get there to the end, it is such a fulfilling, deeply fulfilling, orgasmic sweetness. It's so sweet when you get to the end that it's worth every bit of. It's probably like women always talk about, right in the middle of having a kid. It's just they're thinking, I'll never do this again. I'll never do it again. And then they get there, the kid's out, and they're looking. They go, oh, I can't wait for the next one. And it's kind of the same way because there's all that pain that goes into stuff. And then, but then when you get to the, and I don't think people really can't understand what that feeling is until you've done it. Like you and I could never understand that childbirth thing,
right?
Because we haven't, can't physically do it. But if you haven't ever done a business and launched a business and gone through those steps and through the heartache. And it makes no difference whether it's a big business or a small business. Makes absolutely no difference. You go through it with everything, and but it's so worth it, and it does give you that freedom, and you're out meeting new people every day, and exciting people, especially in our business. We're in the media business, so the people you meet. I mean, you never know who you're going to be. Some of the people I hang out with. I mean, you never know who you're going to be sitting with and where you're going to be sitting with them, and who you're going to be out with or on their plane with or doing whatever. And it opens a lot of doors, being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, yeah. So we were talking before the show, and that's the very reason I created this show, and that was to have people like you basically tell it like it is. So here's the thing: it is not easy. It takes work. The key I found is knowing the pattern or recipe to follow to get to that success point that you described as being, that point that makes it all worth it. And then once you've reached that point, Kent, you're back to doing it again, and then again, and then again. And that's the thing. It takes a drive. It takes a mentality that's not common amongst a lot of people. But do you believe that mentality can be learned?
Here's the thing, and I'm interested because you said a pattern. I don't know really what that pattern is. So I'm interested to go back and pick up on that. But one thing I found is that really separates the successful entrepreneur from the non-successful entrepreneur is you have to stick with stuff. In other words, yes. Like for instance, we're launching this network. It's a major launch. It's a big thing. And, it takes, a year and a half of going out and raising money and pitching investors and, talking about it's an 18 to, the pitch. It's an 18 to 34-year-old, very young, very edgy news network. Center, may skew a little center right, sometimes a little center left, but mostly center right. And, you sit there and you look at some of these guys and my group of investors are freaking amazing. They're great. They're visionaries. And these are people, a lot of them we've been in deals with before. But you also have to go through those ones, sitting there with a billionaire in Dallas, and he's looking at this thing. He goes, man, that sounds pretty good. He said, but 7 words that I've come to hate during this pitch, especially in Dallas, it was, why hell, there's already a Fox News. Like, oh my God. So, and you sit there and you go through that. And so when you're pitching and you're pitching hundreds of people and, you finally get down to where 25 people, and most of them are, very, very ultra high net worth individuals buy in. That's a lot of work. So it's a lot of no's or a lot of ridiculous, why hell, there's already a Fox News. Look, by the way, an actual phrase, why hell? Didn't even know that was a, why hell? But you have to stick with it, because you walk out of some of those meetings and you go, man, those are some of the most interesting people in the world. A lot of them are big names. You go, but God, I just felt, you come out of there and you just, ugh. And then you go to the next one, and then you get one that gets it, and you go, this is great, and that energizes you for the next one. Then you get to the next one, and it's another, why hell? It's like, So it's it's that one step at a time. But anyway, it all gets back to sticking with it, like literally sticking with it. And look, you can go back home, beat your head against the wall, which I do on occasion, and then you go back out again. And then when you have that good meeting, whether it be with an affiliate or a investor or a private equity firm or whatever it may be, you have that one good meeting and that supercharges you for the next couple of days. And that's how you do it. But where everyone seems to fall off is they get 2 or 3 bad meetings and they say, you know what, screw it, I'm done. And they go back to their paycheck life. Yeah,
it's become an instant.
There's nothing wrong with that either, by the way.
There isn't.
It's sick.
And I think it's because it's due in part just for lack of knowledge of knowing that it takes that much to do it. And if they knew, they may never have started, to be honest. Because it takes, like you say, persistence, diligence. You have to have thick skin. You have to have a very strong mission, a very strong purpose, a very strong why, because you're going to get knocked back a lot more than you are propelled forward. But like you said, when you get those forward propeller, those are like huge, and they overcome all the negative ones. But it's not for the faint of heart. But the thing is, if you know that you're going down the right path and you know that these things are going to happen, or you have a good inkling because it's just the way it works, then you can be more apt to muscle through it, right? And I think there's so many other factors that go into this.
And it's, you have, a regular person probably has a range of emotions. This is just an example, but, here. So, they had a bad day at work. but every Friday they're still going to get their paycheck. So, where an entrepreneur I just got the shit beat out of me all day long and nothing went right. And I've got to make payroll for $300,000 on Friday to, oh my God, we just signed the biggest deal ever. This is the greatest thing ever. So you go through these things. That's why it's like that tightrope in a hurricane. You're like this the entire time and you're getting shot at from all angles, but you're also looking down at the end of that tightrope and you're seeing that sweet, smell of success and that sweet smell of accomplishment, that feeling, that warmth of accomplishment. And so, yeah, if you're asking the formula, I don't know if it's a formula as much as it is just stay true to your mission and be persistent. And if you got to take a little time off, like I'll take time off if I just get, too just frazzled. I just take time off, whether it's a day or two or a couple of weeks. I'll go off to an island, write, do whatever, come back in, recharged, and keep going.
Yeah, and you say formula, that's part of the pattern, what you just described, the discipline, the persistence, that's part of mindset. Those were the three pillars, I call them, of success, of the things I found in successful people. And that's dead on in the mindset arena, to have that kind of, fortuitous, to stick to it, to be able to go through it, knowing that, look, if you keep going, you're going to succeed. If you found, I think I have been down the path so many times, Kent, and I've been that person that quits too soon, but I quit too soon because I didn't have the certainty knowing that at least I'm going down the right path to begin with, and I'm doing the right things. And then I started learning, because I did come from the corporate world and had to relearn or learn how to do entrepreneurialism, and it took some time because I was Mr. Ego, trial and error, doing it all on my own. And finally, I learned the best way to do it was to get away from myself and model and pattern myself after those who have succeeded, and throw the ego aside and get accounting and coaching.
Something I find so interesting about you,
Pardon?
And I love this. Something I find so interesting about you, and I love this, and we've spoken at the same events before, and we've been on big stages, but I find this so interesting. A lot of people don't realize this. You started in the aerospace business, one of the geekiest businesses on the planet. And then I watch you on stage and you just go, holy cow, where did this come from? This is not a geeky aerospace guy. This is a hardcore communicator. I mean, this is a great communicator, but you don't see that. Very seldom do you see coming out of a deep corporate scientific world like that and then be able to really communicate like that, I just admire.
Thank you so much. It's so funny. It brings up a quick thing. It just made, there was a manager of mine years ago, and it was in the software arena. I used to write software that went on airplanes and stuff that I can't talk about, but he got to know me. I would visit his place on occasion because I came from another area, and we got to know each other. And one day he just came up to me and goes, "Hey, Brian." I said, "What?" He goes, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "There's something wrong with you." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're too normal." Because I'm a geek, and I'm in the geek world, and I guess I came off as not a geek to him. But yeah, I've really put in a lot of time and effort to be able to do what I do and speak from stage, and I love it. It's a passion of mine, and I will go back to the stage, like physical stage. I've been off for quite a while now. This is kind of that bridge to get to the next time, to scratch that itch, and help impact more people in any way I can. And that's the goal for me. I love helping people. That's it.
Nice. And you do. You're amazing. And you're fun to do business with, too. You're straight up. You're honest. You're very forward thinking. And I think one of the things that really works for you that a lot of us don't have is you've got that aerospace geekiness that allows you to really dig in and get automated systems down. And, the way your automation is at your media company, it's really amazing to me. And you talk about discipline. Most of us media guys are just, by the seat of our pants. And you've got this thing just dialed in.
And that's the cool thing about all successful businesses, though. If you don't yourself possess that ability, you just bring in those that do. I mean, you outsource it. I can't do everything, and I'm the first to say it, and there's no way I'm going to do everything. And I outsource it. I have apprentices now on my team helping out, and it's been a godsend that I can just not kick back, but I can now go forward faster with more fervor, knowing that everything else is taken care of that I used to despise, and they love it. So I'm like, good, it's a win-win. And so you just find those that are talented in the areas. But, this is a show about Kent Emmons. Stop it already. I don't want to keep talking about me.
I love hearing about Brian Kelly because I've known you for so many years. I just love hearing about it. You're fascinating. You know what, Brian? You're the only person that I can take to In-N-Out for a high-powered Hollywood luncheon and stay for 3 hours. Now, granted, I'm gonna tell you that part of that is because it's unlimited Diet Coke, so I can go back and forth to that machine as many times as I want. But we get so enthralled in conversation and leadership theories and different things like that it's yeah, I could do I'd like to do the Brian Kelly. I'm going to turn it back around and start interviewing you right now.
Well, cool. That means I'll be invited on your upcoming shows. I look forward to that.
Absolutely,
man. All right, you got me gushing over here. So, gosh darn, we got to go for another couple hours if you're okay with that.
Hey, I'm in. Listen, that bottle of Jack is huge. And by the way, you brought me. I got to show your audience what you bought. What you brought me.
It was a house.
Which I'm not going to open until you get back.
Just a little housewarming gift.
You can believe the big gentleman Jack. Holy cow!
So that's interesting because
the fact that you told somebody that I was on a show with, and you got a hold of them and said, "Hey, what does he drink? What kind of whiskey is that?" Very sneaky, Brian Kelly.
Sneaky. Yeah, I actually saw a previous, I think it was a Whiskey Politics show that you had a month prior to that. I was researching, and I saw that, researching that show, and I found it, and there it was, and you guys had all these whiskeys lined up in front of you. And I thought, well, I wonder which one Kent, because I knew you were drinking something. I didn't know what it was, but I said, I wonder which one's his, and it turned out to be the one farthest from you on the table, so I'm glad I asked, because I didn't want to, bring what I called a peace offering or a housewarming gift to you that you didn't like. That would go to waste.
Sounds like an Indian tribal thing.
Well, I did have a peace pipe in my trunk, but I didn't bring that in.
I think a couple of those guys had a peace pipe that night, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think I smelled something, but
California.
It's legal now. I think I smelled something too. It's all good. It's all good. Everyone was having a good time. Everyone was under control. Kicking, plugs out of outlets.
It's the funniest thing because if I walk outside, some of the crew or somebody's doing that. I mean, they hide it immediately. It's just it's gone. You can still smell it in the air. It's still like, ah.
That's so funny. Oh, man. So, you know what? A lot of people, including myself, I know a little bit about it, but a lot of people, I like to know the person. Like, what do you do on a regular basis? Describe a typical day in Kent Emmons' life. You get up, you get coffee, whatever you do, and then what do you do next? And then what is your day like? How many calls do you get on? All that.
If I'm home, if I'm in Los Angeles, I don't have to go into the city because I work in the city a lot, and then we tape in the city too. But if I don't have to go into the city, I line up phone calls. So they're usually lined up, a week or so in advance, in the mornings. But I get up. Do a nice, 3 or 4 mile, whether it be a hike or a walk or whatever. And then, my table out on the front, I go out there and sit. It's in a great shade spot. And I sit there, I lay my work out, and I work right outside. And I love it. I'm overlooking the ranch. And if you've been out to meetings before, I love having people out. We'll have breakfast cooked, or we'll, have coffee or whatever. And we'll sit there and meet right outside. It's a great area. And, it's provided it's in the shade, even right now when it's hot outside, it's still a great spot to be. And you can get a lot of work done that way. And that's my day. So, that's the morning. Afternoon, hanging out with my daughter. She horses and stuff. So she's a horse person. Love doing that. Love movies, that kind of thing. If it's a day I have to go into the city, I get up extra early and I beat the traffic in. So I leave the house at 5:30 and do that. If I'm traveling, same thing. I'll get up and just walk like crazy and do all kind, just try to get lost. And that's kind of my day. But a lot of it is just I try to take the things that I least look forward to and get them done first.
Oh, nice.
So if I'm when I'm up early, I get just stuff that I just got to get cleared out so I don't have to be worried about it the rest of the day. Do that first, and then on to other phone meetings or video meetings or people coming out here or me going into the studio or whatever.
Very cool. There's a book out, Eat That Frog, that talks about that, where you get rid of the things you don't want to do first. Like the biggest.
Yeah, which I highly recommend.
Yeah.
Because you stew about stuff the rest of the day. You'll do anything to get to that point. where if you just blow through it, like, a problem is like a circle. You can sit there and you just go around it and go around it and go around it, or you can just go cut right through it. And so I just soon bite the bullet and just blow right on through it.
And then you're not worrying about it or thinking about it the rest of the day, and you're free to enjoy it.
Yeah. There's also that sense of, oh my God, I got that off my shoulders.
Right.
That's
like a lot of people like to work out in the morning because, let's be honest, it's inflicting physical pain upon yourself most times, and let's get it over with. And and then you have all that energy for the rest of the day after working out. That's the beautiful part. You mentioned your daughter. You have a power family here, and many people probably don't know. But would you mind letting everyone know what your daughter does and what they might know her from?
Well, I have two daughters. I have two amazing daughters. My older daughter is a real estate broker in Kansas City, and if you talk about a personality, and her mom is the same way. She walks into a room and all eyes just go shunk, because she's beautiful, but she's got this magnetic energy, this personality, and this warmth about her that is so wonderful. And great business she's got back in Kansas City, and she's just smart as can be. Really, really cool. 29 years old, and just one of those people that I aspire to be, and she's mine. She's my daughter. And then my younger daughter is an actress. She's 12 years old, and she's on a ABC show, and very, very fun, and also just a great heart, an amazing, just a great young woman, and a businesswoman too. She's at 12 years old. She understands business. She understands politics. Very smart gal.
Well, I think the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree there, my friend.
So tune into Modern Family Wednesday nights at 9:00 on ABC.
There you go. I love it. Please.
That's my cheap plug, my cheap ABC plug.
Modern Family, and you will see Kent's daughter. That is amazing. One of his two daughters. I love how you mentioned both, and you're equally as proud of both. And when you talked about her entering the room, that reminded me of you. Like whenever I'm scanning around and I saw you, like especially in Vegas just recently, and like you have that factor, and there were like 3 or 4 other guys around you, and you were talking, and I remember, oh my gosh, I gotta go talk to Ken. It's been so long. I've got to do it. And so I stood right next to you politely, not saying a word because I didn't want to butt in. And then you kind of noticed, and then, hey, and then I butt in,
but
I guess.
You and I are both the same. We love people. Yeah. I'm so interested in people. I don't care where they're from, what they do, or whatever. It's just so interesting, especially like in that particular setting. It was a higher end setting.
Yeah.
A lot of CEOs, a lot of very, higher end folks. And some, many I knew, but many I didn't. And it was great that a lot of us got to meet each other and stuff. But just the energy of meeting new people or seeing people you hadn't seen in years and that kind of stuff. So doesn't that energize you?
Oh,
it
yeah.
makes me just,
Yeah, I had pretty much resigned myself to not go to many events anymore just because I've been to so many of them over the years. And I went to 2 this year already, and both of them were deeply rewarding in many different ways. Meeting people, some that I knew, some that I didn't know, like you said,
Yep.
Forming new relationships. I actually got quite a few of them to come on the show. They're booked and on the calendar to come on the show. Some sooner than others, like the person you're looking at right now, not me, this guy over here. And it's just been an amazing ride. And I used to go to so many events. I like to say, I don't know how many remember Mr. T from Rocky, and he had all those gold chains when he wasn't being an actor. He was walking around, he was actually in his own element, and he had massive amount of gold chains. I can't imagine how much that weighed. But I went to so many of these events that I used to say that because they give you those lanyards, like we got them at that last event, right, with the badge and all that, and I kept them all, as many as I could. And so when I speak from stage, I actually have someone bring them up, and I have a picture of Mr. T up on the screen, and I put these on, and I say, hey, look, I put Mr. T to shame because there were more thickness in the lanyards.
What's crazy is
too many.
I've done that too, and I counted over the years, and it's like, I don't know, 400 or 500 of these things. And I've even started hanging them in random places. Like there's a moose head up above the main fireplace here in the main room. And even Liberace back here, my bartender, he's got my CPAC badge, the All Access CPAC badge from last year. And yeah, it's everywhere.
Yep, I still have the one from our Vegas event sitting right here on my desk.
How funny! How funny is that? That was a great event. Sherry and that whole group, they had a lot of power in that room.
That was phenomenal. Yeah, Sherry, Brigitte Offerle, who was the MC of the event, and she's been on this show. That's how I met her. It was quite a powerful group of people. I was
That was a good
so elated by being invited to that. That was phenomenal. And then,
Yeah.
had it not happened, you and I wouldn't have met up again. So many things.
I would not have connected with you again. I hadn't seen you in years. It's been a
Yeah.
long time.
Just out of nowhere, and so like you were saying, so many things to be thankful of. That's one of them for me personally, definitely. My goodness, we're 4 minutes out, my brother. I want to.
No kidding.
There's one question I love to ask every entrepreneur, and it's like as important as getting to the close on stage. You can't finish the show without it. One of those.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing more important than getting to the close. So
I'll tell you, the answer is, despite the part my daughter plays on Modern Family, I am straight. I'm assuming that's what you're getting at, right? No?
yeah, that's how you had two daughters. But yeah, I'll drink to that. What time?
Salute.
But yeah, there's this one question. I ask this of every guest on the show, and it's a really interesting question. Not because of the question itself, but the answers I get. And it can be deep, but for some it's not. And if it takes you some moments to figure it out, that's cool. Dead air time is nothing. It doesn't cost me a dime, and that's fine. So it can be very deep though. But before I jump into that, I did promise everyone that is watching live that I would give them a way to win that 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort in Mexico. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to put that up on the screen. And I now give everyone, so does Kent, we give you permission to actually take out your phone, take your gaze away from the screen, or look at it if you need to get this number, and punch in this phone number as if you're going to call it. So 661-535-1624. And then down in that little message area, type the word PEAK as if you're texting this to somebody, PEAK, and then tap the little send icon there on your phone. So again, that's send a text to this number, 661-535-1624, and enter the word PEAK, P-E-A-K, and you will be automatically entered to win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort in Mexico by my buddy Jason Nast at powertexting.com. And just so you know, there is no timeshare pitch awaiting you when you arrive, which so many wonder, how can you give these things away?
I was looking forward to a good timeshare pitch. You mean I can't get one if I text that in? Man.
I don't think they would even prepare one for you. And the reason I know this is because it's so awesome. Jason himself tested this very thing that he is sponsoring us with. And he went and he brought his daughter and he said there was nothing of the sort. It was just as if he was a guest at a resort. It just happened to be all paid for minus taxes and fees, some kind of resort fee. And you gotta find your own way there. You gotta fly there. But the stay is 100% on them. And there's no ulterior motive whatsoever going on. It's just you get to go enjoy yourself. So that's pretty phenomenal.
Love it.
But getting back to the main question here, Kent.
Is this one of those Barbara Walters things where I'm going to start crying about halfway through the question?
Well, I don't know.
Or am I going to get a Buick, an Oprah Buick? What am I going to get here? What's going to happen? Everybody gets a trip and a Buick. Everyone.
Only if Kent cries. So, man, I love it. So here's the thing, just to kind of let you off the hook and ease the pressure, if you're feeling any. I can't tell half the time because you're so funny. It's awesome. The thing about this question is there is no such thing as a wrong answer. It's impossible. You cannot answer it incorrectly. It's just the opposite, because the only correct answer is yours. It's a personal thing. And to each person, it means something a little bit different. And I just know that from asking this question over 50 times now. And every time it's different. So now the pressure's off and you can just relax and really sink into the answer when I ask it. Are you ready for it?
Oh, it's a big build-up, Brian. I'm telling you, this is better be a doozy.
Oh, now I feel like I'm going to let you down. So, here we go. Kent Emmons, how do you define success?
Happiness. Everything is about happiness. I got so many friends that are worth billions that are miserable. I have a lot of billionaire friends that are happy as heck too. But I define it as happiness. I look at, I don't look at success as how much money you've made or have in the bank or whatever. It's all about, are you doing what you want to do? Are you happy? Are you looking forward to tomorrow? Are you looking forward to tonight? Are you looking forward to what you got going later on today? Are you happy? And that's really what it's all about. It has nothing to do with making money. Making money is just kind of a byproduct. It's a nice security blanket to have, but practically, but I mean, it's really, success is just really, are you happy?
That is phenomenal. And that's the thing. So many that are not like grizzled entrepreneurs would be more apt to go to the money side of it. When I make my first mill. But here's the cool thing, Kent. There is not a single person I've asked that question whose true, if you peel away the whole curtain, their true answer was never about money. And if money is even part of the answer, it's only because money affords you that liberation, that happiness to then do what you want to do. It's not about the money itself and the material things. It's about the freedom that it avails to those who went down that path. One person talked about money, but continued on and described the reason behind it. Oh, that makes sense. So it's not like money for money's sake, and it's important, but it's not the defining result of anyone's definition of success on this show to date.
No, and you know what? Look, true entrepreneurs, especially guys like me, serial entrepreneurs, where we love to start businesses and then start another one. And everybody's been in the financial tank a time or two. If you haven't, you've not earned your stripes. And I look at that and I recall, you get financial pressure and things like that, and you're looking millions of dollars in that, and you're trying to figure out how you get out. But even during that time, you're not missing a meal. You're looking forward to, tomorrow, because tomorrow you're going to dig a little deeper out of it. And then now when when you're on top of stuff and you're still looking forward to this and that, but you're not as afraid of that other thing, because you know what? You were happy back then too. Maybe miserable, a lot of headaches that go with that kind of stuff. But it all comes down to, are you a happy camper?
And I just know I embrace challenges. I love the challenge. I love going through it. If it was so easy, it wouldn't be that great. I mean, you wouldn't have that crescendo that you feel every time you're successful, right? You would just, okay, well, that was easy. I did it again. Yeah. Whoop-de-doo.
What was that old joke about or it wasn't a joke, it was kind of a story, parable or whatever, about the guy who's in Las Vegas. He died, and he went to Las Vegas. And he ends up, he's a gambler, he's a big gambler, and he goes to the blackjack table and he gets 21. And then he gets 21. And this goes on for days, and he has just stacks of money, and all he's getting is 21. And he looks over at the waitress and he says, man, he said, if this is heaven, I wonder what hell's like. She said, well, how do you know you're not in hell?
That's like a Twilight Zone right there.
Every single day.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, I have no idea what's going to hit me. But I know it's going to be fun. It's going to be a challenge. And if it's something that hits me from the side, you deal with it, like you said, is that challenge. And it's moving the ball forward down the court.
And that's why I can't conceive of this concept known as retirement. I don't get that.
I don't get it.
All I can do is reframe that and maybe into transitioning from one career path to another, but not retiring outright. I got to continue to help people no matter what, as long as I can, as long as I'm capable.
It's kind of interesting when you take a look at let's take a look at Bill Gates, for instance. I've got a chance to meet him several times, and an interesting cat. And with him, the guy at one time was the wealthiest man in the world, still probably one of the top 2 or 3 or whatever. And he's retired from the company. But again, I'm not wild about his politics. But what he and Melinda do out there, trying to change the world and trying to make a difference in different things, they stay active in that. So it's not retirement. It's that he's moved on to another mission.
Exactly.
So it's always a mission. It doesn't have to be a money-making mission as long as it's a mission.
Yeah, having a purpose. I could go on forever about corporate people I knew. As one in particular comes to mind. And I've asked this question, Kent, now of more people as they reach their retirement years, and I ask them, so you've been working most of your life, you've been working for this moment, what are your plans for retirement? And more often than not what the response is? It's I get one of these. They have no clue after all these years what they want to do after they retire. And one just said, wow. I know what, I love photography, I think I'll just take photos. Like, that's it? I'm thinking that. I didn't say that. That'd be rude. But it turned out I saw him at and this is after he retired, just not even a year later. He was in a a little store. It was like a pharmacy store. I don't know what they call them all over the U.S. But anyway, they had a patio furniture setting sitting out in the middle of the floor, very close to the front. And there was this old man sleeping in the little wicker couch. And I was like, oh my God, it's him. And so he must have been like waiting for his wife to get the prescription from the back. And then literally like a couple months later, Kent.
Viagra or Ambien? What do you think?
Well, the sad part is about a couple months later, we found out he passed away.
Oh, really?
Because he had nothing to live for. And I've seen this time and time again. You look at the obituaries, it says retired 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I mean, nobody lives very long after they retire because they have nothing to plan for the rest of their life. And I was like,
well, think about this. Think about how many opportunities there are to go out there and help people, whether it be in our country, if you're not in international travel, or out of our country. But I mean, you've got areas in the country here. You can go on great church missions. There's all kinds of great missions you can go on. And whether it's building houses or infrastructure for people or whatever it may be, volunteering, going places. My older daughter has a particular charity, a thing she likes to do down in Haiti. And, there's all these great opportunities that, let's say that, like, say you and I both, say tomorrow somebody came and said, you guys have to sell your businesses and walk away from it. You would and never get back in business again. You could have a career of doing nothing but helping people, build things, helping families, helping educate people. There's so many things to do. And I feel bad for the people who, like you were talking about, you read the obituary, they died 5 years after they retired, and it all had to do with boredom. They were just bored to death. They had no mission. They had no purpose.
That's the sad thing is, they're all up in their 60s, some late 50s, but I just think about the life experience that they could have imparted upon maybe a youth, somebody younger, even a colleague, and say, hey, I've learned a lot in my life. I want to help you out because I made this mistake. I don't want to see you make it. They have so much to give. They have more to give than younger people because of their life experience. It's the opposite of what we are told about the aging workforce and people that are older. They have more to give than you and I because we haven't had that extra 10, 15, 20 years of life experience under our belt where we could help people. So anyway, off my soapbox.
Yesterday I was up at Reagan Center, Reagan Ranch Center up in Santa Barbara. And do you know Art Laffer? Art was Reagan's economic advisor. He was the author of the Laffer curve, the economic curve, which is literally the gold standard of basic economics. And it was funny. We got to spend a lot of time together. Very funny guy. But he's 79 years old. And this guy, I think I'm energetic. Dude, I can't keep up with this. This guy's unfreaking believable. And I got friends of mine that are, big business guys and stuff. I got a buddy of mine here. He's a broadcaster here in town. He's 98 years old. And you'd think the guy was 50. And he's always looking at new deals, always this, always that, always things going on. And it's this mind that just keeps going and going and going that forgets to tell the body, hey, you're 98. It's like that. We're well past that. The mind is saying, forget that whole thing about your body. Just keep on rocking.
What a phenomenal way to end this puppy. And you know what? Cheers to you, my brother. I so appreciate you.
Great to be on here with you.
Oh, I'm so blessed that you have come to grace this stage with your presence, and so is everyone else. We've had quite a people.
You're too funny, and don't forget, you get to do my funeral. That was such a great introduction. I'm counting on you to do the greatest wake of all time. The headliner. It'll be Brian, and then Frank Sinatra.
Well, then I'm going to up my mindset game to ensure that I outlive you to begin with, because that has to be there. But hey. Not looking forward to that day for either of us, but I am looking forward to the next time we get to do some more things together. Thank you for bringing such incredible value to this show, to our audience. Because
Brian, it's my pleasure. You've always got a lot of fun going on here.
Yeah, and before we leave, is there any way people can connect with you that would like to learn more about what you do? Maybe pick your brain about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. As you know, I'm pretty liberal about giving out my email address, kentemmons@gmail.com, or even easier, kent@kentemmons.com.
Oh, there you go. There's a lot of Kent there. I have a Brian at Brian C. Kelly. That's good.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, once again, Kent, thanks again so much. And on behalf of everyone watching and listening as well, thank you for coming on and spending your time with us. That's it for tonight's show. Oh, that was wonderful. It was everything that I had hoped it would be.
Thanks, man.
We're going to raise the glass one last time and say good night, everyone. And be blessed.
I got to get the stem on it, though. That's just too nice.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for watching and listening. This has been the Mind Body Business Show with Brian Kelly.